known Timothy for longer than he probably remembers. We started going, I was going to the Maplewood Club a long time ago, and Timothy was always someone who you listened to and you went, I'm going to need some of whatever he has. Timothy, for those of you who haven't met him, he actually has, after we're done here and we go to lunch, he'll have a booth kind of set up by, or set up by our cafeteria where we'll have books, some other information and some other things that he'll be selling. But this is what I can tell you personally on a less business side and professional side. Timothy is a gift to people in recovery. He's taken what could have been a horrible journey and just made it into actually a huge act of service. Since I've known him from way back, he's always been involved with MAD. He's always been involved at his meetings. He's always been willing to be a speaker. I throw other situations where I needed a speaker even short notice. I'll call Timothy. He's always available. And what I want to share with you about Timothy is the bottom line of everything he talks about is really generally about love and forgiveness. And he always represents it in a way that other people walk away with something that they didn't have before. And I'm really, really grateful that he would come again at this point and speak for us here. The other thing about Timothy is he's been a volunteer here at Second Sunday for years and years and years. And for us, we don't normally turn one of our volunteers into a speaker. But with him and his experience and his story and what he does, we feel it's really important that he gets a chance to come on our stage and share. So you won't get him for a small group facilitator today, because he's here to be our speaker. What I will tell you is after lunch, you can certainly take time to talk to him back at our lunchroom. Timothy, I don't know what else to say other than you've just been a gift to my recovery, and I'm hoping that you will bring something to yours today. With that, Timothy.
Good morning, everyone. How's my sound? Good? Yes, great. All right. My name is Timothy. I'm a grateful member of Alcoholics Anonymous in Al-Anon. And first things first, I would like to just open with a little prayer. Our Creator in heaven, I pray that thou make me an instrument of thy mercy and thy peace and help someone in this room today, even if it's only me. Amen. Amen. Right. First things first, there's one who has all power and it ain't you. But I am connected, just like everyone in this room. When I drove into Hazelden today, I felt that peace. You know, and every time, the very first time I drove out here about 25, 26 years ago, I was actually driven back then. I literally felt like there was an umbrella of peace being held by God over this place. It was just, as soon as you come in, it's just, ooh, it's a shelter from the world. And it's just so peaceful, you know. And that wasn't just my imagination, because I had never been here before, you know. And it's a very palpable, powerful thing, and to this day it's still true. I drive in, and the world kind of disappears, you know. I hope you had that feeling when you were driving in as well. Neurologists have said that you need to have some humor in your world every day. Find a reason to laugh. Find a reason to grab a moment of belly laughter if you can. If you can't, a chuckle will too. But it makes the brain healthy. And in that interest, I'm going to tell you a joke. It has to do with Al-Anon to some extent. I joined Al-Anon in May of 1991. I joined AA in August of 90. And because I was cleaning up messes before they happened, they said, you need Al-Anon? So, it's like fixing the toilet paper rolls, you know, oops, it's coming off the wrong direction, you know, I turn it around. Silly things like that. But in both programs, you know, resentment can just drive you down into the black hole to make everything that's good in your life disappear. So you have to be extremely careful about it. Some people get angry when they have resentment. Some go into depression. whatever it is. But unresolved grief ties so many of us down from a spiritual experience. It's absolutely imperative that we do the fourth and the fifth step. And you can't get to that unless you've done the first, second, and third step. But I was driven to the point of despair, and this is the joke, okay? There's some truth in every joke that's worth hearing. But what was happening is every time I got to know a woman that I was really interested in, I would sit down with her and I would steel myself for the opportunity, right? It's like, all right, this is the one, you know? And I get to that very moment and I say, all right, I'm going to say it. Can we be more than friends? And every time, without exception, I would always hear the same thing. I'm sorry, Timothy, I think of you just as a friend. That happened like 6 or 7 times, and I'm getting depressed, you know, and I'm feeling so down. One day I was thinking about just ending it. And I'm walking around downtown Minneapolis just in despair, and then I saw that there's these Jesus people out in the street. They all got their Bibles in their hands, and they're just beaming, right? Just full of vibrant life and happy, and they're approaching people with their Bibles, and they're saying, Jesus loves you, brother. Jesus loves you, sister. And I just was starting to feel the spark of life coming back into me. I started to feel hopeful again. I had some happiness, and one of the Jesus people that happened to have been a really cute woman approached me, and of course I wondered if this was the one. And I got all happy and stuff, right? And she came up with her Bible and she said, Jesus thinks of you as a friend. You know, I just thought life ain't fair, man. But the reason that we join Al-Anon is to find out who we are, and then to do that really important thing of being who we are. And you can't find out who you are without going through the fourth and the fifth step and examining all the painful parts of our lives so we can get it out of the way, so the sunlight of the Spirit can become vital. Even if we turn our will and our lives over to the care of God, which is what we do before we do the personal inventory, we still need to do that inner work. We carry that experience from the third step into our inner journey of discovering who we are. And after we discover who we are, good, bad, and ugly, then we release it completely. We turn our will and our lives over to the care of God in a meaningful way after we've touched all the painful parts. And we become entirely ready to let God remove all of our defects of character, which means you don't get to. It also means you don't have to. Turn it over and then humbly ask God to remove your shortcomings. And if your shortcomings are there after you've asked that they're removed, guess who needs them to stay? The one that you asked to remove them. It's not your timing, it's God's timing. Not everyone believes in God. You can do the good orderly direction, G-O-D if you want to. We are an open program. Anyone can walk into our doors. And a lot of us come in agnostic anyway. And probably a lot of us remember having some struggles with letting go of all the stuff that is preventing us from falling in love with God and our fellow human beings. Love God with all your heart, love others as yourself, and you're golden. You know, everything that's worth having in life hangs on those 2 precepts. I have been doing this MAD speech for a long time. I've got a couple of people that have heard me here at MAD panels, but I want to go into some of that stuff for you because a lot of us haven't been able to attend a MAD panel. Anyone remember seeing this painting on the way down here? It's in the hallway in a way. I just love that painting, and I just thought, this is what I want my life to look like. So I took that photograph and I contacted the gentleman who painted it and asked for his permission to use it. He didn't say no and he didn't say yes. So, you know, I don't know if I should really use it, so, but at least I asked them. I didn't just pirate his stuff. But I love that, who wouldn't want their life to look like that when they come into recovery? But you notice those ripples of the heart, they didn't happen by accident. It happened because he's doing something. It's an action program, We surrender what we're doing. You see him looking where he's going? Nope. He's just going. And I like that. So, here's the main message that I try to prevail on people at MAD audiences. If you want to stop drunk driving, fall in love with yourself and others, consciously. Why? Because if you love someone, you won't hurt them. And if you love yourself, you won't hurt yourself. So the solution is love. However, there's a paradox that's present in this situation, because with the number one killer of children who die in drunk driving tragedies in this country, guess who it is that kills them? It's the parent. The parent is driving under the influence and kills their own child. The number one killer is the ones that love them the most. So how can it be true that if you love someone, you won't hurt them, and if you love yourself, you won't place yourself in harm's way by getting behind the wheel of a car and operating it under the influence? If that's true, how do you deal with the fact that parents are killing their own children? Number one killer of kids in drunk driving tragedies. Well, the consciousness of love disappears when we're under the influence. We do things that we would never do sober to the people we love, including ourselves. But when we have alcohol in our system, and my being a recovering alcoholic, I know a little bit about what it means to have alcohol want to destroy me, but keep me alive at the same time. It's like a parasite, it wants to keep you alive so it can stay alive. And until we kill our ego, it ain't going away, But how do we activate that love? How do we raise our consciousness to where we remember who we love? Alcoholics got to remove alcohol from your life. It's that simple. And you don't have to be an alcoholic to drive under the influence and kill someone. You don't even have to be drunk. You just have to make an alcohol-impaired decision, and you can get a lot of people in a lot of trouble. So, this is something that I learned from a MAD speaker when I first joined MAD, and she lost her son to an alcohol-impaired driver, and she said, we forgive regardless of the temperature of our hearts. So I put it on the back of my business card. And she was in MAD and taught me that about losing her son. Corrie ten Boom was in a concentration camp in Germany, World War II, for hiding Jews. And she is the one that quote is drawn from. She's in a concentration camp. And she's saying, we forgive notwithstanding the temperature of our hearts. So it is really possible to forgive even the worst stuff in the world. And until we do, we won't have peace. And the peace that surpasses all understanding can preface our life, or it can follow our life. But if you change your life, you'll have to change your mind first, because it follows where you intend to go. I'm in MAD, but I'm not mad at anybody. I sometimes wish they would just change the name, because anger, being mad, is one of the most toxic emotions a human being can have. Wars are started over it. People destroy each other over it. It's oftentimes where our resentments go, and it just tears us down. So why would they want to call something mad? Well, if you lost your loved one, you'd be mad too. Most of us would be. However, at some point, we got to set that stuff aside, because if we don't, it's going to kill us. We lose marriages over someone being hit by drunk driving. More marriages that fail over losing a son or a daughter to a drunk driving tragedy. And you know, it's because of unresolved grief. They don't know where to go with it. And I wish we could call it maybe something like Lovers Against Impaired Driving. Thanks for laughing, because everyone wants to get laid. L-A-I-D. But I don't think that MAD would allow that transition, you know, in the name. But, you know, you got to have a sense of humor, right? So to be in MAD, you have to be part of an exclusive membership. This t-shirt I bought at the Recovery Church many years ago. Pastor Joe Camp was selling it. I thought, this is my kind of church, man. It says, Ship Creek Canoe Club, been up and back, no paddle. Survival, you know? Anyone been on that road? Yeah, we've all been down that one. And, but the unresolved grief is really important. If we don't know what to do with our grief, here is a really great book by Melody Beatty, The Grief Club. She had lost her offspring and was just beside herself in grief, but rather than just sitting in it, she decided to do something with it. She wrote a book, knowing that if she helps others with their grief, it will help her with hers, because when we help someone else, it keeps us alive. If you want a book to deal with grief, that's one I highly recommend. So who is Timothy Cameron? Well, I'm an alcoholic, right? What is an alcoholic? An alcoholic is someone who has an allergy to alcohol. And me, my allergy is when I drink, I break out in handcuffs. An old AA joke, but it's literally true in my case. A lot of people just say it as a joke, but I did 13 and a half years in prison. 2 major incarcerations, several minor incarcerations. I was a slow learner, right? But I love this picture of this woman standing at the, what do they call it when you're? Lineup. I wondered if someone knew that. But I thought it was a lineup, but that's not a lineup. A lineup is where you have 5 or 6 people, and then they have people that look like you, and then you hope they pick that other person. That's a lineup. But anyway, they just take your mugshot and they show a Tully art, and this woman is like freaking out. It's like, how did I end up here? And all the hands on her face and her hands on the head and all this stuff. It's like all of her thought processes are going from the different parts of her lives. This is impossible. How the heck did I end up here? That's what we go through over and over and over. How did I get so sick? Why am I doing these things to myself, but we can't stop? I kept going back over and over and over again. And it was an endless cycle. You know, I was doing life in the installment plan. And when I sobered up, it put the kibosh on all that. So the bad old days was jail. And by the way, I'm a cat lover, so I'm not picking on cats. I thought it was a great photograph. A cat passed out, beer bottle, cigarette in his mouth. Looking pretty classy. And you know, back in the day when I was drinking, I'd wake up in the morning before I'd open my eyes, I'd go, throw out one arm. And if it hit concrete, it's going to be a bad day. And if it hit carpet, it's going to be a good day. And anyone ever woke up in jail? How in the hell did I get there? Yeah, a couple of us, right? So, and then there's, of course, transformation. There's another painting by the same gentleman that did the heart, drawing the heart. That's in the hallway as well. People standing in front of this doorway that is in the shape of a heart, and there's a handle on there. And people in recovery are facing the solution, going toward the sunlight of the Spirit. You open that door and walk through, but you walk through together because there's enough heart always to bring everyone to it. It's a new program. No one goes home until everybody goes home. We don't exclude anyone, no matter what. Period, end of story. The only requirement in AA, at least, is the desire to stop drinking. You don't even have to be an alcoholic to be there. You just have to have a desire to stop drinking. And then a life of loving service, which is what I pretend to do on good days now. I have cancer and I'm in a lot of pain, and I thought I had like some spiritual, maturity, some emotional maturity. I'd worked a lot of things out in my life. And then when I'm in physical pain, is then I find out what a selfish little snob I can be. It's like, what? You're even in the program? Really? The selfish